All right, so let's get started.
Debbie, you want to sign in?
Yeah, are you being recorded tonight, do you?
Yes, yep.
Okay, good, thank
Yep.
you.
It's not live, though, just so.
No, but it is getting recorded. Thank you.
My name's Paul Peddle, Traffic Safety Chair. It's my first official meeting. I think I've backed up Bob in the past, and Bob's taken on the role of co-chair for this meeting. First meeting in 2025. Looks like we do have a quorum to start today's meeting, and has everyone signed in attendance sheet and grabbed a copy of the agenda, short agenda tonight? First up, did everyone get a chance to look at the October meeting minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept the October 7th, 2024 Traffic Safety Committee meeting minutes as written.
I second it.
Any discussion? Amendments? Nothing? All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Abstain.
Against? Nay?
Aye.
Motion to accept our October 7th, 2024 minutes has passed. Do we want to do public comments typically? Now, you put public meeting here, but do you mean
No,
public
we can,
comments?
we can just skip over that.
Yeah, so we typically welcome public comments, during our meeting, so we don't have a specific time for that. Unfinished business, I guess we're going right to that tonight, which was a discussion that I believe started in our last meeting with the intersection of Mammoth Road, Griffin, and South Road. So that we had some back and forth discussion amongst the members up here, and I think we tabled it in our last meeting. I think Chad actually tabled it in our last meeting to have it continue to be looked at, I guess, and get comments back from the public, and so I don't know if we've gone any further, John, that you know of?
I have not
Over the
gone any
holidays, there's been
further.
a lot going on, obviously, in town.
I haven't gone any further, but I know that, again, my recollection, Kim had summarized the crash data and everything, from that particular intersection. And the conclusion was, that it's a dangerous intersection, and there's even more dangerous intersections in town.
I think there was a motion to talk about no left turn, and there's a Miss Peterson here that wanted to address it. State your name and address.
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
My name is Cindy Peterson. I'm at 21 South Road, and I'm here to speak against having a no left turn at the intersection of South Road and Mammoth.
Okay, so what was that? Remind me, a left turn coming from
South Road onto Mammoth Road?
onto Mammoth? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't feel that is fair for the residents of South Road.
Right.
I also don't feel that it is safe. If you are exiting South Road onto Mammoth Road and you're forced to take a right-hand turn,
Right.
and you want to be going a left-hand turn, what that's going to do is force cars to go down, take a right-hand turn, and then go onto Old Coach Road,
Right.
which is where my mother lives, at 71 Mammoth Road. And she lives on the corner of the intersection of 71 Mammoth Road and Old Coach Road.
Right.
And that's a very bad intersection right there, getting
Yeah.
out on that road.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just gonna cause a whole bunch of other traffic issues.
Yeah.
So I would hope that you can find another solution, perhaps a traffic light coming out of South Road onto Mammoth. But I do think that we need to have a left-hand turn there. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the bottom line is just a lot more engineering needs to be done at that intersection, once it becomes a priority.
Correct. And again, that's a state road, so it's our driveway. It's, South Road and Griffin Road are both town driveways. I'll call them driveways onto a state road.
Right.
So, we can ask them to do a safety study on it. But again, it all comes with a cost.
Right.
So,
So what's the suggestion, from a historical standpoint, safety studies, should we ask for that, request that?
we can request it,
The
through,
council should request it, I believe.
through regional planning too.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask about that. So Southern New Hampshire planning,
Correct.
14 towns, all have their own priorities, and that's what the state takes it from, right? On what they're gonna work on and where they're gonna put their funds, and
Correct.
it seemed like Mike, when he was part of the group, and town manager was wrapping his arms around the 10-year plan that maybe had been, like, maybe not focused on for a while. Like, how do we make sure that we're part of that 10-year plan?
Mm.
And that we are prioritizing intersections. So
Correct.
I guess I can't stress enough that continue, and I know at one point, right, we were looking for a town planner. And that didn't necessarily happen. That probably would be something that falls into that person's responsibility.
Yeah, so it's a combination of departments, I would say, but we do have continuous communication with the RPC. And when it comes to the 10-year plan, typically they'll reach out to the town manager's office and my office to ask for input regarding that plan and prioritization of intersection and
Okay.
larger scale projects. So that conversation is ongoing.
Okay, okay.
But
Is-
that initial look at is gonna
But
be done
yes,
though, too.
yep.
So
So-
I think what we can do is speak to the RPC and ask that they look at the state, to look at it, the
Yes,
intersection.
absolutely.
Yep.
Does it make any sense to table this until April to see what the follow-up would be? Because there's not a lot else we can do at this point.
I think, I have no problem getting a hold of the RPC and reporting back in
April?
What
That'd be
we,
perfect.
yeah,
So I'll make a motion to table this until the April meeting would come back from John.
yep. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. So we will reach out to the RPC and
Yep.
see if we can get them to move forward with that.
What's the RPC for?
Regional planning.
Regional planning,
Commission.
Rockingham, or excuse me, yeah,
Regional,
Regional.
it's
Southern
Southern
New
New
Hampshire
Hampshire
Regional
Regional
Planning.
Planning Commission.
Whoever's typing these up.
Yeah.
Right. Did anyone else have any comments on that? A lot of engineering has to happen there. We all know when we take that every day. I'm on Holstein Ave, so I come out to Griffin all the time, and it's crazy all the time.
No, I appreciate that,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Let's see, so that was unfinished. We have no new business per se. There was-
You had something and I had something for new business, if you
Yeah,
want to bring
just
it
to
to us.
bring up verbally, I guess. There was some talk, I had just put a note out to everyone. We've had some success, I'm told. Kim, I think you can agree that, Litchfield Road, we made 30 miles an hour. I think there was other changes made to West Road, Gilcrest Road, so we have a theme going, 30 miles an hour, and it seems like people are paying attention to their speed when they see that 30. Maybe they go 40, but they're not going 50. So some of that success. And I guess what I was gonna, just to be consistent across town, as opposed to residents having to come before us, is to try to be more consistent on feeder roads like that fit that profile of West Road, Gilcrest Road, and to be more consistent with that 30-mile-an-hour speed limit.
There was a study done in conjunction with 3 other towns, and I can't remember whether Jerry did it or you did it, where they were trying to get the advantages of having the speed limit 30 miles an hour throughout the town. And for the most part, the most consistent benefit of changing it to 30 miles an hour was for the police departments. And their biggest help was the fact that when they went out on patrol, they didn't have to worry about what the speed limit was on the road that they were on, because there's so many different roads that we have 35 and 30. But aside from that, they saw not any really lowering of the speed. In some cases, they saw increases in some of the speed. So there was no net benefit of dropping everything in town to 30 miles an hour based on this. And I forgot to bring it with me. I'll try to get it for the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think that was mine, but.
Could have been Jerry.
When we talked about this several years ago, and it's not that it's confusing for the police to know their road. The men and women of the PD are assigned sector assignments every shift, and I use this as an example. When I was first hired here, there was like 384 roads in town. Now we have over 500. And with that comes more traffic, as you talked about, the connector or collector roads.
Collector.
Correct? With the business increasing, the amount of complaints that we get, I think that we can't stop the building, we're not gonna stop the traffic, we're not gonna stop people cutting through town to get to the highway or avoid the highway. What we can do is hear the concerns of the citizens and realize that speeding is an issue. People are concerned with accidents, people are concerned with trucking. I think the easiest thing that we can do as a community is realize that not everyone is gonna be thrilled with the 30. We have enough data, I believe, within our town that shows that it does decrease. It's less of a risk for motor vehicle accidents, because cars are going slower. I think that if people are in a hurry, those people are still gonna speed. But now, when everyone knows, no matter where you come into our town, except for the state roads, Mammoth 102, 28, that you will do 30. That's the townwide posted speed. I think that it's the least we could do, and I think we're behind the times on that, and we should be moving this thing forward for council approval, yet again, to go back before the community. As we've talked about during the budget process, we just don't have enough patrol officers dedicated specifically for traffic. And when people always tell you to be creative, think outside the box, there is one thing. Let's just reduce the speed in town, start with that.
And that would essentially save some money on the signs, because if you did post them all at a specific speed, and I don't wanna mention the speed, because I don't know which is the right one, but we could post all the entrances to town that the speed limit throughout the whole town is 30 miles an hour, and that would save from cost of signs.
That
I
is
assume.
the impression that I'm aware of too, sir, is that you post them where all these roads come into town, and it says, for example, the town of Londonderry is a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. So that way, you know, everywhere in town, doesn't matter what road you're on. We have some that are 35, we have some 30, we have some that are 25. Everything's a 30.
I think, I'll bring up, when we changed the speed limit on 30, there was a postal man, a post office guy that was stopped on Mammoth Road doing 45 miles an hour. And when he pulled over, the judge let him off, and the reason he let him off is because he says, well, when I came off the road, it was 40 miles an hour, so I didn't know what the speed limit was when I went onto High Range Road, and the judge let him off, so there's also creates less confusion that way, too.
I would agree.
So how would we proceed with something like that? Again, another town council
Well-
item, and something that has come up before. I believe when Chief Hart was in, we actually had
Well, I
voted
think
on that.
the same, I can defer to the assistant town manager, but I believe we brought this forward as a suggestion and or recommendation from the traffic safety. And the town manager briefed the council, and the council moved forward with it, but
No, that's exactly right. That's the process. We can certainly do that. And the council will make a decision on how they want to proceed with that
I-
recommendation from this committee.
I think if we did this, we should have a full traffic safety committee here to make it either unanimous, or at least everybody had a chance to vote on it. I think that would be the
Including,
most.
comments from Chad,
Yeah.
So we can add it to the agenda officially for next meeting?
So
I
just-
think it's worth a discussion. Just one comment.
I think we need a motion. John?
Yep.
Any comment?
Nope.
Paul, were you done?
I was just gonna say, I've seen more traffic stops, it seems, of recent
Yeah.
around town, which,
As you know, when we get the complaints come in, as the deputy chief has indicated several times too, when we get them, we put them out to the patrol force, depending on where they are.
okay.
We have seen an increase or an uptick in traffic complaints, so that's probably why you're starting to see them
I
more.
just see them around town a
Yeah.
lot more often than I have.
Just trying to take care of those complaints as
that's
they
good.
come in.
So I'll make a motion to add the discussion of the traffic, the speed limit, consistent speed limit within the town to the next meeting.
Second that.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, so we'll add that to our April meeting officially. See if we can get a full house for, you had something you
Yeah.
wanted to bring up?
I've been a little concerned that I think the town should be looking into how we can stop some of this stuff, because if you go to Michael Way, we have 4 hydrants on Michael Way, and they have painted parking spaces in front of in front of the 2 hydrants. They're on the northbound lane on the right-hand side. And I'm concerned for a couple of reasons. One, with all those buildings going up there, with the construction going on right now, if anything happens to break out, the fire department would have a hell of a time trying to hook up to those hydrants, because there's cars parked in them all the time now. It wasn't a problem up until about 3 weeks ago, when all of a sudden now we've got all the workmen parking there.
Oh, yeah.
And when the buildings open up, other people are gonna be parking there too. So, And from what I've been I went to the fire department and asked them why they hadn't gone down there and talked to the people about doing it, and they say they can't, they have no jurisdiction on it because it's on private property. I went to code enforcement, and I kinda got the same answer. So what bothers me is we have safety problems on the road that the town evidently has no sway to change anything about because of the fact it's on private property. And I think there should be some type of an ordinance that we could introduce through the town council to make private property be at least aware of the safety problems they're creating. Because if that stays the way it is and people move into those houses, it's gonna be even worse.
I just wanna make sure I understand, sorry, are you talking about the construction equipment that's currently
No,
there?
I'm talking
or just
about
generally
the
on the
fire hydrants that are placed, I assume they're part of Pennachuck, or they're at least part of the water reservoir that we've got there. And there's two of them north of the Rotary
Yeah.
on Michaels.
Okay.
Now, to solve the problem for these particular ones, I've called Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith says they will take care of the striping of the area as soon as they can when the weather permits the Continental to come in and stripe them. So I think we've taken care of that problem, but I think we should be taking a long look at any of these fire safety things that we have no jurisdiction of. And based on what I've heard from the fire department, there's more than just those two hydrants that have the problem on private property.
Is that because at the moment, the town has not adopted it as a public way?
Yep.
So therefore, it's still the developer's
Private
hands,
property.
right? And are those lines even charged yet?
Well, that was
Yeah.
my next
I
question.
have no
Yeah,
idea. They don't say, normally when you have a hydrant like that, there'll be a sign on it that says it's not and there's no sign on them.
I'd be willing to bet that there was an emergency there, fire department would get to that
I would
hydrant,
assume, but
whether
it would
the
be
car
hard.
parked there or not was in the way.
It would be harder than it was. And again, just so you'll know, on the 28 bypass, there's a company that I think sells extinguishers and so forth, and there was 2 gas outlets there on the side of the
What
road.
you're talking about, yeah.
And I got all excited about that because there was no protection around them. And Kevin told me that those are samples.
Right.
They just have them out there so people know that's what they sell. But at the same time, it bothered me a little bit because if someone comes in from out of town and didn't know it was a sample, they might try to hook up to it too. But I just think there's something that we should be able to do when something is not meeting a fire safety situation as a town, even though it's not on town property.
So again, Bob, I'm gonna have to take a look at it. So again, what typically happens when the plan is prepared and it should be indicated on the plan that it's a no parking spot, basically. So again, sometimes what'll end up happening though, when they go out there and they refresh the parking spots, we're only human, people are only human.
Yep.
The guy that's doing it doesn't realize that he shouldn't be,
You shouldn't be marking it
he
that
shouldn't be
way.
marking,
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I need to look at it a little closer.
Yep.
And personally, I think the town has a little more,
Yeah, to your point, John, I would say it's very, very likely that their approved site plan shows that as no parking, fire, whatever, you know?
Based on what,
And that is the enforceability point, is my point. We have that tool to use to
well,
enforce it.
based on what Fred told me, he essentially said he talked to them and they couldn't do anything about it, or couldn't get anything done, so. And I don't wanna quote him out of context, so, but essentially, I tried everything, and finally, when I got ahold of Kevin, and he said they would take care of it, as soon as they could stripe. Hopefully, nothing will happen between now and the stripe, and we don't get sued because the fire trucks had to push some cars out of the way.
you know, I don't think that would ever happen though, Bob. Again, it's, you know,
I,
people are stupid enough to park in front of the hydrant, you know? And like Kim says,
Well, their stupidity,
fireman wants to.
is added because there's a stripe saying they can't.
but just,
Yeah.
the solution, I think, is John or I, we can easily look at the site plan and
Yeah.
Okay,
show that that's, as I said, I'm pretty confident that would be marked as a no parking area. And then it's as simple as they need to remark it the proper way according to their
Okay.
approved site plan.
How many did you say, Bob? 4?
there's at least 2, I think that there might be a third one. The two that I've seen are the ones that are north of the Rotary,
Okay.
the north side, and I
Well,
think there's
but
another one that might be
There's
close.
2 rotaries there, though.
Or the last
Okay,
the
the most
northernmost
norther-
rotary, it's
got it.
after that. But there's
Okay.
also one that's right on the side of the road that kinda is, there's a parking that comes up to it,
Yep,
And there's kind of it's a terribly placed hydrant for one thing.
yep,
And maybe it'll change when the construction's done and they've closed up that, where they're going in and out.
gotcha, okay.
But Fred, and I'll go back and double check with Fred, but based on what Fred told me, he told me there was some other hydrants in town that had the same problem, so
Oh, probably, yeah.
I'll have to ask him if he can give me a list of the ones that he has a problem with, and I'll get that back to you.
Yep.
And that's all I have.
Do we want to add that to our next
No, I
meeting
think-
agenda, or just leave
I
it
think-
as a,
I can,
check
I
it
can
out?
give you I
Okay.
can give you an update.
I'll put it on the agenda for that then. And again, as I said, Kevin said they'd be taking care of that as soon as it warmed up, for the ones that he knows about.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to adjourn if we have nothing else.
I was going to say, I think that's all we have.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
We did this just for you, Kelly.
That was the quickest one.
There you go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Is there a TCB tonight?